"Get out of here, kid. We don't serve your kind." Ethan stumbled back, the heat from the diner's open door hitting him like a wave. The smell of sizzling bacon and fresh coffee made his stomach twist painfully. He pressed his hands against his midsection, trying to quiet the growl he couldn't hide. His shoes were scuffed, his shirt hanging loose over his thin frame. "Please, just some bread," he whispered, barely audible, hoping the man behind the counter would show mercy. But the man, Gregory, the diner's manager, snapped, his face contorting with annoyance. He yanked Ethan's shoulder and shoved him out onto the sidewalk. "I said leave. Don't come back." Ethan hit the pavement, cheeks burning, eyes stinging as humiliation clawed at him. Plates of pancakes and eggs were carried past the windows, laughter and chatter spilling into the street. He sank against the brick wall, pulling his knees close, too tired and hurt to even move. Minutes later, the deep roar of engines shattered the quiet street. One by one, heavy motorcycles rolled to a stop, their chrome flashing in the sunlight. Leather jackets stitched with wings, flames, and skulls glinted as 10 men dismounted. Locals whispered nervously, "The Iron Wolves are here." The bikers approached the diner, each step deliberate, exuding authority and presence. Ethan shrank against the wall, fear gripping him. But then, a tall man with streaks of silver in his hair under a helmet paused and glanced at him. His eyes softened at the sight of the boy's trembling hands and cracked lips. The man, Dominic, knelt briefly, nodding once, acknowledging Ethan without a word. Ethan wiped his eyes, ashamed to appear weak in front of someone so imposing. Dominic straightened and strode into the diner with his crew. The glass door swung open, bells jingling sharply. Every patron turned, the diner falling silent as the bikers filled the room. Gregory, who had been so harsh moments before, now plastered on a nervous smile and hurried forward. "Table for how many?" he stammered, suddenly respectful. His earlier cruelty vanished under the weight of their presence. Dominic's eyes swept the diner, landing on the booth by the window where Ethan had been staring moments earlier. "That one," he said, voice steady, nodding toward the largest seat. The other bikers eased into it, leather creaking, the room falling unnervingly silent as every patron sensed something about to happen. Gregory forced a smile, handing out menus with hands that shook slightly. What can I get?" "Hey," Dominic interrupted, his tone low but cutting through the air like a knife. "The kid outside. Why's he out there on the sidewalk?" Every eye in the diner turned to Gregory, whose confidence wavered instantly. He stammered, trying to explain. He's just, well, he's a beggar, sir. Can't have, disturbing the paying customers." He laughed nervously, hoping to slide past the confrontation. Dominic leaned forward, tattooed hands planted firmly on the table. His crew watched silently, their faces unreadable, but their presence amplified the weight of his words. "Bring him in. Feed him. On us." Gregory's jaw tightened, pride battling fear, but when Hawk, a towering biker beside Dominic, shifted slightly, Gregory's resistance crumbled. He nodded stiffly, muttering, "Yes, yes, of course." He went to the door, calling out, "Come on in, kid. Don't be shy." Ethan hesitated, warmth from the diner mixing with nerves. He stepped inside cautiously, glancing at the tables, unsure why he was suddenly welcome. Dominic gestured toward the booth. Ethan edged closer, sitting at the end, barely daring to breathe. Then, the magic unfolded. A waitress appeared, balancing a tray piled high with pancakes, eggs, sausage, and a tall glass of milk. More food than Ethan had seen in days. He stared, hands trembling as he reached for the fork. Quietly, almost in a whisper, he said, "Thank you." At first, he ate slowly, savoring each bite, then faster as hunger drove him. The bikers watched in respectful silence, some nodding, some giving faint smiles. Dominic leaned back, lighting a cigarette, the smoke curling in the air. "Eat as much as you want, kid. Today you sit with us." In that moment, Ethan wasn't just a hungry child. He wasn't a street urchin or an outcast. He was part of something larger, surrounded by people who chose action over judgment. Gregory hovered behind the counter, fists clenched, pride shattered, realizing the lesson unfolding right in front of him. Patrons whispered among themselves, guilt flickering across faces that had turned away from Ethan minutes earlier. By the time Ethan's plate was empty, Tears streaked his cheeks again, but these were different. Gratitude replaced shame. Dominic placed a folded bill on the table and told the waitress to keep it. Then, leaning forward, he spoke directly to the boy. Listen, kid. Never let anyone tell you you're worthless. You matter. Remember that. Ethan nodded, throat tight, unable to speak. But the words sank deep, planting a seed of hope and dignity he would carry forever. Around the diner, the atmosphere had shifted. A quiet truth had been written in daylight, inked with leather, smoke, and simple acts of compassion. The lesson lingered long after the bikers had gone, a reminder that courage and kindness can turn even the smallest gesture into something unforgettable.